Welcome to Vroomy Vroomy Temp Temp.
It's not hot. It's not cool. It's room temperature.
Mm. Oh, Christ. Christ. Well, there's only one thing to talk about today, and it's your Honda.
Hell yeah.
Tell me about tell me about you get. Did we talk about you getting the Honda home? We did, didn't we?
It must have because that happened, and we're in the future now. So
Nice.
what has happened now, as in the past week, is that I have replaced all the motor mounts, which sucked. And I mean, the ones on the side are fun. Those are like that's a fun project of yeah, I'm doing car things. Yeah, 10 millimeter. Yeah. Um, The ones in the front and back are fucking awful, and they are a horrible time. The one in the back just sucks because there is one bolt on it that is underneath the heater core inlet. So there's like these coolant hoses that are full of coolant that you can't move. And since this is a 1989 CRX, the coolant valve is a physical cable, so you can't like easily just pull it out of the way. Um, then below that, there is the cross member, where that is basically like the axle for the car. For the as much as a front wheel drive car has an axle, it doesn't really, but that's kind of how the suspension works. Is there's like this metal bar connecting the two sides of the car. Anyway, so there's that on one side, and then on the other side, like right next to it, positioned like this, is the frame of the car. So what you have to do is and then the mount itself has these enormous lips on it. So you can't just like go to the side, like go under the car and wiggle your hand up next to it because there's these lips. So what you have to do, and what I found works, is go under the car with one hand, go over the cross member, put your head directly below the bolt where the bolt is, put one hand up so it like you've got fingers touching the bolt, and then take your other hand and go on the other side of the cross member and like try to thread the head of the socket in so it's sitting on the bolt. And you have a room for about 2 fingers when you do that. You have room about 2 fingers on this side. So use your 2 fingers and try to position the socket on the bolt. And then once the socket is on the bolt, then you can get up and take a string of 3/8 extensions. Half-inch extensions are too big. Take a string of 3/8 extensions and thread them down through all the things on the firewall of this car, and then twist them until they lock into place in the socket that you place with your fingers. And God help you if you move the socket off, because then you have to start all over again. And then just turn the bolt.
Fuck.
And the only way to get the bolt back on when you're replacing it is to have that be the last bolt. Because my thinking at first was, oh, well, I'll do that one first so that it's easier to place. No, you need to do that one last so that the other two bolts that go on the mount are positioning it completely correctly. And you just have to like place the bolt with the socket on top of it, and then just like get your string of extensions and then just like press down and cross thread it until it finally seats itself. So that fucking sucked. And then the front, I have been continuously talking for like 5 minutes. I'm sorry. The front mount.
This is good content. This is real good. This is what the people want. This is, I mean, you are finally talking about cars.
Yeah, the front mount isn't so bad for most CRXs, except my car has air conditioning. So there are two hard aluminum AC lines running right where your hand needs to be, because the front mount attaches to the front subframe, and the transmission to each other so that the transmission doesn't hit the front subframe. So anyway, you need to put your hand down the front of the car where the shroud for the fan is, where the AC hard line is, and between the coolant bypass hose. And it just sucks because there's not a lot of room to do that. And then when you finally do get it, the fan's right there. So what I had to do was take the coolant hose off and just like tuck it up and over, and then pull the fan shroud up slightly so that I had room to get the mount in there. And then when I finally did get the mount in there, it wouldn't seat itself. It just like, so the mounts have these like ears are the best way to describe them, where it's like a rubber, it's like the rubber sides of the mount where the main bolt that holds like the whole thing in place sits. Because there's like there's essentially two basic parts of all these mounts. There's a top bolt, a bottom bolt, which attach it to some essential member, and then there is the main through bolt, which is several inches long and is what the car is basically riding on. I mean, I don't know that that's going to be okay. Your screen must be much higher res than mine.
Oh yeah, I got 4K on as I was playing games.
Yeah, you got that here. 4K. You got that 4K. No, you're fine. You're fine.
That's too much.
Up.
Ooh, so interesting.
Oh, that red car is fine.
This one?
Yeah.
Or this one?
Nope. You have it. Nope. Go back. That one. That's perfect. So, underneath, so that black plastic tube at the front of the car is an intake snorkel, and that just kind of lifts up out of the way and doesn't really matter. But this car does not have AC.
God fucking Christ. Okay, so where would the AC be? Point to it.
The AC would be, I can't really point, but the AC would be.
Okay, is it up there? Is it down there?
Oh my God. The AC tubes, where that black snorkel is, there would be like two aluminum AC hard lines, basically directly under that. And the engine mount is at the bottom of the car, basically where it's more or less right under where the coolant hose goes on top of the radiator there. You see that?
Yes.
So basically directly below that is where the engine mount is that connects the transmission to the front subframe. And it fucking sucks to get to it. It oh my God. And then, like I said, the engine mount, when I finally got it down there, the ears got caught on the part where it bolts in. And so I just left it there for 2 days, half installed. Come on, Claire. Before I got back at it today, and I hit it with a hammer and it went straight in, and it was amazing. I was so happy.
That sounds like a truly exciting story.
Yeah, it's not going to play it on the podcast, but James, after I will send you the video that I was following along with, because it does a pretty good job of showing what a pain in the ass the rear mount is.
Okay. I mean, I would tell you should make your own videos about that kind of stuff. You should have video recorded yourself doing it, and no matter what would have happened, we could have put that on the Room Temperature YouTube channel.
I did that when I converted the Focus ST seats I bought into Fiesta seats.
We should put that on the channel.
I look really fat in it, but yeah, whatever.
Oh my God, I can do this 724 by 6. Oh my God. Do you remember 1024 by 768?
Yeah, I played RuneScape with that resolution.
I can't get the mouse. Oh Christ. That's like, yeah, that's Windows XP. Windows Expire. I can't get my fucking cursor over there. There's no gaps. Incredible.
Truly, we are living in the future.
Truly, the future is now. Oh, 800 by 600. That was like my first computer.
Yeah, that's a gateway ass resolution.
Bing, bing, bong, ding, dong. Is that the Windows XP song?
Is this podcast just looking up old Windows tones now?
No, I'm changing resolutions. I don't think I can play that Microsoft. I did watch a YouTube video entitled "Every Windows Startup Song," and
Perfect.
it was pretty interesting. I remember having like the Windows ME song, like um the Windows ME song. I was like, oh my god, did I have ME? And I think yeah, I fucking like we had Windows ME.
I did not have any.
Oh shit, that's what happened. Oh fuck. I don't remember fucking having ME, but I remember that song real well.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
the next steps with CRX are I lost a little bit of coolant with that hose thing, so I'm going to put some distilled water in it just so that it's topped off. And then I'm going to go drive it around the block and stuff because it's got a temporary Texas plate and it's got new motor mount so I can actually enjoy it because the entire time I've driven it, like even when I did that first test drive 5 years ago or whatever, it's had these blown motor mounts, so it's been kind of awful to drive. So
Really
this will be the first time that I can drive it and actually enjoy it and not worry about it basically falling apart on me.
interesting. Well, are you gonna drive it around tonight, or are you gonna do it tomorrow?
I'm gonna do it tomorrow. It's up on jack stands. The battery's on it. And I need to add coolant. I need to clean up the tools and things. So I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I'm gonna like wipe down all the tools because that car has a bad oil leak, and I think the CV axles have broken before. So the underside of that car is just an absolute nightmare, and I need to like, and I got like the grossest I've ever gotten working on a car, working on this car.
Really?
Yeah, like so I need to wipe down all my tools even just because there's so much grease and crud on them.
That sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, go. I mean, go ahead. It doesn't. It doesn't. Nothing about your car situation sucks. It sucks that you had to get so fucking filthy doing this fucking work on this CRX.
yeah. Did I send you the? Let me send you the picture of me getting fucked up in that car. Um, I'll just send to the Discord for our friends at home.
That's a good idea.
Uh, Nicole's response to this picture was, "Don't you dare get that feral child dust in my bathroom."
Frail child dust.
Feral child dust.
Feral child dust. Is that what your car is? Is it a feral child?
I don't know. I think maybe I'm the feral child. It was unclear.
Feral child dust. Better than the feral child trust. Those people are a bunch of scam artists.
I don't trust the feral childs.
I don't trust those feral children. I don't associate with members of the robot race. It's cool you did all that work on your car. Today I changed light bulbs in the laundry room.
I changed light bulbs on the CRX. The brake lights are now all LEDs.
Let's take a look at how fucked up you look. Okay, on the taillights and the headlights.
The headlights are halogens, and they're mismatched halogens. I'm going to buy matching halogens soon. The brake lights are LED. The reversers are LED. The turn signals are all incandescent
Okay.
because I don't want to fuck with resistors and stuff like that.
Interesting. Well, thank you for showing us how disgusting you look.
Don't I look super disgusting?
You look like a man, damn it. You look like somebody who works with your fucking hands. You don't look like a millennial anymore. You look like somebody with like a real job.
You can tell which hand was wearing a nitrile glove and which hand was wearing a leather glove.
I guess the farce was detected. I've never been that dirty from doing any work. The other day though, I don't know why I'm mentioning this. Like I had to help my dad with the yard. And that was
Okay.
such a like wholesome experience. We had to Daisy won't stop eating these like stacks of firewood logs that the previous owners left.
Oh,
She
Clarence is
just
that.
yeah, she just hops up and she just sort of rips off bark and then she like plays her favorite game. I have something in my mouth, catch me. She loves that game. She has her whole like route figured out throughout the house, like how she can hide and like run from us and get us to chase her. And if she gets like a rock or a piece of tree bark, she'll just be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" We'll look over and she's giving us that look like she has something in her mouth. And then we like, get over here. And she runs to the fucking like little end table that my mom and dad can't bend over low enough to get to. She hides under that. And when I try to fish her out, she runs around. But if you ignore her, she'll be like, okay, I guess you don't want this stick back. How about this rag soaked in bleach before I
Oh,
swallow?
oh no. So she just grabs things until she gets a reaction.
She's gotten a lot better now that she's in training. There's a reason we took her to obedience school.
Yeah, Valley.
Usually the rock does it though because like she shouldn't be having rocks. Dogs love rocks apparently.
Clarence has never done that with rocks. He
Daisy gets a
loves.
really big rock and like chews on it, sharpens her teeth. She loves to chew on them, and she chewed on this. We found her outside when she was like a real little puppy. She was just gnawing on the side of the house. And it's made out of concrete. In the side of
Clarence.
the fucking house.
The thing Clarence loves a lot is charred pieces of wood.
Yes.
When
Oh,
you have a
she loves that.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Charcoal, even mesquite wood that my dad like falls out of the grill.
yeah. Clarence loves that.
She loves that. I told you about the calming stick, right?
No.
Wendy was like brought some calming sticks over, and she was like, "Is it all right if I give Daisy one of these? It makes them relax." And my mom looked at it and was like, "It's like a hemp thing. It says hemp for dogs." And my mom and I were both like, my dad wasn't in there. My mom and I were both like, yeah, I saw her give one to Luna, and Luna just kind of acts all like kind of just chill. She just like stops like getting all spazzy and shit. But the problem is Daisy was already pretty laid back, so Daisy went to fucking sleep. Like when Luna left, she just sort of like leaned back in the sofa and just sort of and we poured her food and she wouldn't eat. That's the first time she hasn't eaten. We finally figured out it was like it's probably that calming stick. She might just like not feel so good because of the calming stick. And yeah, went to bed without fucking eating and like slept for like 13 hours.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you'd think she got like fucking weed cookies or something. So, but the next day she was like completely back to normal. She
Well,
was
okay.
the most tired I've ever seen her. She was like barely like hobbling to the fucking like door today, and the lady that walked her back from the like back room at the dog place, the place where we take our dog for daycare/training. She goes from like 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and we can watch her on webcams. It's called Dogtopia.
Oh.
Yes, and the room for small dogs is called the Toy Box.
Is she a toy?
Nope, she's too big. She's in there with the rest. She's in the romper. There's the romper, the toy box, and the gym, and then there's the outdoor area, and then there's the training room, which is not viewed. They don't show you the training room.
That's
It's like,
private.
yeah, it's a distraction. She's like, sometimes you'll see things that make you uncomfortable. Like, we have to discipline your dogs. And my dad's just like, we hit her with a magazine. He's like, oh, and I was like, film it. No, that's a joke. It's a bit, people. Calm down. Stop tweeting at me. But check out my Twitter. It's hilarious.
Does anyone tweet at you?
No, and I don't know why. My tweets are so funny.
I tweet at you. I
Yes,
think
you
I
send
don't.
me
I don't tweet at you.
messages. You
I
don't
send you
tweet at
messages.
anybody though.
That's true. That's not true. I
You
tweet
have
at
a
the. I
Twitter
tweet.
so you can read Twitter.
Sometimes I tweet at this car lady in Houston who really likes Hondas.
Hondas have a very interesting community. I dig it. I think Hondas are today's Volkswagen,
Probably, yeah.
which is weird because they make the blandest cars.
Honda.
Like now, I mean, your CRX was a great
Um,
car when it was brand new, but now like they have the Civic Type R, they have the Civic Si.
I mean, I think Honda makes more interesting economy cars than anyone else, but that's an
More than
extremely low
Mazda.
bar. Yeah, dude. I mean, I wouldn't have said that 5 years ago, but the new Mazda 3 has a torsion bar.
Well, that's because they gotta cut costs somewhere so they can fit all that tech in it. It's an economy car. That's why that whole thing about like Mazda's like we're not gonna make another Speed 3. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
because it'd be 50 grand. You'd have like independent suspension and that kind of engine and probably all wheel drive in
No,
the three.
no, it'd be a the Speed 3 was a focus. The Speed 3 was a Focus ST.
Yeah, back in
It,
the
it was
old
l-
Mazda days.
it was literally a Focus ST. The new one, as a new Speed 3 would be a Focus ST competitor.
That was like the lowest point in Mazda's history, I think. Like the mid
No,
2000s. Like the only thing people really bought was like Miatas, and that was all old people.
they sold
And
a
the Speed
fuckload
3s.
of threes. What are you talking about?
And like the Speed 3s era,
No, just yeah, like I saw so many Mazda threes.
I feel like I saw a lot too, but the reason I always noticed it was because people always went for like the Chevy or the Ford hatchback if they were going to buy like a 3 because they were so much cheaper, like an Aveo or like a fucking Cruise. Like a
Yeah, the Aveo
Focus
and Cruise are
was
dog shit cars.
they are. The Mazda 3 back then is kind of a dog shit car. The Speed 3 was really good.
I mean, the three was the first and second gen Mazda 3 are second gen Ford Focuses that we never got here. They're fundamentally decent cars.
They were yeah. My point is nobody bought them. I think they're fine cars. I think the Hondas from back then and the Fords from back then are really great. But I remember when people used to actually buy compacts, you didn't even see that many Golfs around really. Everybody just went and bought the Jetta. 'Cause it's America. Nobody wants a hatchback. I guess that's the thing. Is like I saw a lot of Ford Focuses. I saw more Mazda sixes than anything. Mazda sixes, the
I
old
saw
weird egg
Mazda 3
shaped seats.
sedans. I think having a sedan helped a lot because you're
Okay.
right. I didn't see a lot of hatchbacks.
I just didn't see a lot of Mazda speeds outside of like college parking lot car shows.
Yeah,
That was it.
sure.
I mean, and like they were brand new at the time.
Because I mean, that's kind of the demographic they appeal to. It's a very like the inside of that car. I thought the inside of that car looked really immature and kind of shitty when I was like 22.
Yeah, you remember the RX-8?
Yeah, the RX-8 was a fucking baffling
It had
car.
that same fucking shitty interior that the 3 had.
And triangles, triangles, triangles,
Yeah,
triangles.
triangles. The triangles and the like. The center console is really cool because it had that like plastic circle and it kind of looked like future. Mazda's
And it
looked
had a triangle.
yes. The RX-8 was a disaster of a car. Like I think it was like an absolute fucking disaster. It's very interesting, but it was like a disaster. But that Mazda era was like we make a business sedan that's kind of got a shitty interior. We make the 3 that's like a shitty cheap car. The RX-8 is like too expensive to be so shitty, and the Miata and like the Speed 3 is
It's
awesome, and the Miata is awesome. And the RX-8 is kind of awesome to
it's
drive, but
because Ford gave them said, here you go, you can engine, transmission, body. Pick one to make yourself. The rest of them has to be parts bin.
yeah, the RX-8 was
And
sexy though.
I think they look stupid. I've never liked the RX-8.
They were. Do you remember cheap sports cars of that era where it was like, okay, I've got my first out of college job and I'm looking to buy a bachelor's car, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like the RX-8, in a different universe, the RX-8 is my CRZ because the RX-8, um, on paper, is everything you'd want out of a car. It is fast enough. It is practical enough. It looks good enough. It is very capable. But the sum of all of that doesn't add up. Like it sucks. It sucks to drive. It gets horrible gas mileage. You have to constantly think about how long has it been running? Can I turn it off yet? Have I warmed it up?
You gotta
All
cool
that
it
just
down when you
sucks.
park it. You gotta like
Yeah,
open the hood.
all that shit sucks. All that shit sucks.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, and I know I've talked on this podcast before my CRZ, but I bought that car because I like I read a lot of ask car sales, and they joke on there about Subaru buyers spreadsheets, but like I made a spreadsheet and the CRZ came up as the best one because if you just look at features and what it offers, the CRZ is like the best car you can get,
Okay, so your
5 years from now.
CRZ was my Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk
Yeah, exactly.
because I bought a car based on like, well, these are the features I want out of a car. I want it to be big
Yeah,
enough to throw everything I own. I want to sleep in it, but I want it to
yeah,
be a really rugged off-roader, but I want it to drive like a highway car. And they're like, everybody's like, well, this brand new Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk kind of does all those things. And then what you get is a minivan lifted up. And then once I realized that I was just driving this like roided out minivan that was made out of Italian parts, I still feel really bad about like this girl asked me what I thought about her car, and she was like, "It's a Fiat 500." And I just went like in her face. I was like, "I'm sorry, I know that's I didn't even know it was rude at the time." I was like, "I bet that girl just like wanted to make conversation." I was just like, "That sucks."
maybe she thought you were cute and was like trying to bring up an interest that she knew you had.
Oh, she was like in a group project, so she was at that boot camp, and I was like so used to like keeping things like really professional because it's like I mean, I don't want to, this isn't a bad thing necessarily, but they fucking watch you like hawks. If you're even like, if you're not allowed to DM each other outside of class with anything except like class related stuff, and they're allowed to read your DMs at any time. Like, so if you're just like on Slack and you like even say something to a girl, you're just like, hey, I enjoyed our time the other day. If you want to call, text me. Here's my phone number. They can take that to like the administration and be like, I've been attacked. I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
not saying that's like a bad thing necessarily, because sometimes they're
sure,
legitimately getting attacked. And
sure,
sometimes
yeah,
the
yeah,
guys are getting attacked. And like people fight in that shit. They're just like, sending messages like, you look like a fucking fag in there with your purple hair. And it's just like, whoa, what? And like it's happened. So they've just taken this policy of it's easier if we just read all your communications. And it's still even in that cohort, there were like a couple of guys that got like brought aside and they just had to like
I
stop
remember the
it a bit.
conversation we had.
Yeah, we're not going to have it on camera. Nobody ever
No,
did. For our listeners out there, nobody did anything that wrong. They were just very underinformed
yeah,
about etiquette.
there was some of that. Grandpa, you can't say that anymore.
It was no worse than any of that. That was as worse as it got. Like
Yeah,
it was a code grandpa,
yeah.
code boomer. We shouldn't say that either. This is a car show. We should not alienate the boomers, dude. Like not on a car podcast. Like I gotta tell my dad about this eventually. Well, you should listen to my podcast. Like that way you can like kind of it's like you're talking to me and I don't have to be here.
Brandon's on it. Did you know that, Dad? Oh, I'll sign right up.
Yes, I love Brandon. Didn't you say he was homosexual? No, Dad, a socialist. Oh, yes.
Who can tell the difference?
He thought I was kidding when I told him that. I was like, yeah, Brandon's actually a socialist. And he said, yeah, sure. I was like, no, he is. He's like a registered member of the American Socialist Party. And he was like laughing. And I was like, he's like, oh, I thought that was a joke because he's like in tech. I'm like, no, he believes all that shit. No, not like, what you believe is shit, but how I talk to my father. I didn't mean to insult you.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I had a very similar reaction to CRZ where I woke up one day and I realized that my very well teched out car that was a hybrid with a 6-speed manual was a Honda Fit but less practical and less fun to drive.
I know that feeling. It's a shame. That's all that feeling is just a shame. It's like I
Yeah,
bought something that like should logically work. It does not. It's so unsatisfying.
right. And then I found out the car I actually wanted and would have been perfect, and I definitely would have never gotten the Fiesta, and I might still have.
Wait,
Um,
what was it? Was it a CRX?
no, they don't make them here. It is called the Fit Hybrid RS. They only sell them in East Asia. Basically, they basically they only make them for Japan, and if Another country in Asia is right-hand drive. They also sell them there, but it is a Honda Fit with automatic climate control and high intensity and HID headlights and the CRZ drivetrain. It is a four-door CRZ, and that is exactly what I wanted. And um, I can never have one.
Well, don't say never. I mean, like,
I
say
don't
positive.
want one of those.
Oh,
Like I
what?
don't.
You just said you really wanted one. What the fuck am I
I
supposed to
I
think?
really wanted. I really wanted one at that time in my life when I wanted like an $8,000 car
Well, from the way you
that
described it, it just sounded like you described a Ford EcoSport or whatever,
an
Transit
EcoSport.
Connect or whatever that fucking thing is.
Yeah, more or less.
It's really one of those.
Yeah, no, like I wouldn't want one now. My Type R is way better than that. But it, I want what I wanted from the CRZ and what I eventually got from the Fiesta was I wanted a car with lots of tech that was very efficient and was fun enough to drive. Like, I wanted a car that was primarily a commuter, but was uh, fun enough. Like, definitely not like an SI, but not as boring as a base model Civic. Like something more interesting than that, something nimble, something that has like the Miata idea of fun, of like, a slow car tuned to be very agile. You're muted. And the CRZ is not that.
A GT86.
Yeah, but they took premium, and that was a hard no.
They take
At the time.
premium?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's like the.
yeah.
Damn it. I kind of want one of
86,
those.
86 sucks so much.
86? Wait, who? Okay. Where do you even get 86? Is that even still a thing? In Texas and Oklahoma?
It's called the GT86.
Oh, I thought you meant like 86
No
gasoline.
octane. No, 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 no,
I
no.
was like, yeah, I mean,
Uh,
86. What is this, 1989? Like, yes, okay, good. I was confused. The GT86 is one of my favorite cars ever. I love it so much. It is not a good car. I'm sorry. You are whatever you're probably going to say about it. I'm going to agree with you about the GTA 6, but I love it so much.
yeah, I wanted to like it. I remember when they first came out,
I love it so
a,
much.
a friend got one, an automatic, but he got one. I remember thinking the automatic was pretty good.
Hmm. It wasn't great. I mean, it was a better than it deserved to be automatic.
Yeah, like you would never get one on purpose, but if you just like if you found a really cheap one, it turned out to be automatic, you'd be like, okay, it's not like it's not soul crushing ruining the car like an automatic first gen Miata
I
is.
mean, I think I would go to pretty great lengths to get a manual, though. I'd be like, if this dealership can't sell me one, I'm going to go find one.
Yeah, the manual is much better. It's
There
just
just like wouldn't be a situation. I think the automatic was really good too, but I can't imagine unless like I lost an arm, like I would buy it over the manual and like. But you're
sure.
right. It is like fucking. It's better than it deserves to be. It's not like DSG good, but it's good.
Yeah.
DSG rules. God, I love that. God, I love the DSG transmission so much.
Yeah, the 86 it is a car that I'm convinced exists in the form it exists because they wanted to sell a modern 240SX.
Yes, and that's what I want. I want just like a 240SX with a warranty. Like that's why I love the GT86. The 240SX though is a legitimately dangerous automobile, and the
Right.
GT86 has a warranty and airbags, and like it has been gone through far more R&D, and it is a much safer car, and that's why I like it.
Yeah, but it's the same thing of they're both these awful dog shit cars that people love
They're fun because
because
they're just so lightweight and simple.
yeah, but the engines are terrible.
Yeah, they're economy
The
cars shaped
the
like
K
sports cars with better
the
chassis.
KA24 and the FA20 are horrible, horrible engines.
I
They're not.
wouldn't say they're horrible engines. I'd say
They're
they're fine.
horrible.
They're fine.
They're horrible. They're not economy. They both take 93. If you take 93 octane, it's not an economy engine.
Well, it's tuned to be like a sports car still. I mean, like they took an economy engine that they had
No.
They like tuned it, and like what else did they do to it? I'm sure they've done other stuff. This is a terrible, terrible example of what to do on a car show is not know any of the facts about the car you're talking about.
The KA24 is literally a truck engine that they gave higher compression to put in the 240SX, and they
Like
called it
what a
the
brat? Like a what kind of truck would have an engine like that?
Nissan hardbody.
Oh, that's kind of fucking cool. That tickles my hipster in bits.
Yeah, the hardbody and the 240SX share engines.
My God, that makes me want a 240 or
And they did that
wait.
because they couldn't smog the CA18, the base model 180SX engine, nor could they smog the SR20.
I thought you were talking about the GT86.
No, the GT86 has
I
the
thought you were. Sorry,
Subaru FA20, which just sucks.
I thought you. I thought the FA20 or I thought the Subaru engine was the one that was like. It's like they're still using the hard body engines. They're putting them in
No,
fucking.
no, 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 no. They're using the STI has the EJ24 that they have been the EJ motor that they've been
Oh
using since
yeah,
like
the STI.
1989.
I forgot about the
Yeah,
STI.
yeah, and like, why didn't they make an STI BRZ with like a supercharger or a turbo or anything? Why couldn't
Uh,
they?
mm. Oh, I know why. Money. It has to hit a specific price point. And like that's what this car does so well. It's rear wheel drive for not a lot of money. And admit it, I mean like it's right under 30 grand brand new. And if you find one that was like you're probably gonna the best used ones are probably the automatics, just driven by like literally some person straight out of like college, and then they
I
drove it for 2 years and bought like an Accord.
I loved the one Boulder had that he did Boulder things with and flipped immediately. It was a
That's why the
higher.
insurance is so fucking high on those cars because people do shit like that.
Oh yeah, he'd literally flip it. You know, he sold it.
What was the car
Um,
he wrecked? Miata?
yeah, he wrecked the Miata and then sold it for more money than he paid for it.
Nice job.
Yeah, Boulder is very good at that. You know, for like the exact person I always hated on Craigslist, he is very good at what he does. Um, but yeah, he it was a higher mileage, uh, very well equipped BRZ. It had dual zone climate control. It might have had a HUD. It
The
had
BRZ is the only one that has like the GT86 does not come with dual zone climate control.
Yeah, like I didn't know that was an option. And like it was really striking, and it was like, oh yeah, you know, like in a different universe, you know, I graduated college and bought myself one of these.
Yeah, that's what I would have fucking done. I mean, I graduated bought a Mustang, but like they're better cars. The only problem I have with the GT86 to this day is it is so much like a 240 is that it's for where I live and what I do, it's way too fucking small as a daily. Like, and it just sort of isn't enough. It's not like good enough to be a track day car, and it's kind of like not worth putting the money that's
What do
required to
you
make that.
mean it's not good enough?
It's well, it's slow as shit. I mean, like if you're gonna buy that car as a daily car, it's great. It doesn't work for me personally. I think it's like right out of the box. You don't even have to change the wheels if you don't want to. But if you want to make it a I don't know, autocross car, just like literally take it to track day. It's like it's fun when that car's at its limits, but only in like short bursts. Like when you're on the freeway, it's kind of cool. But like when you're on a track and you're trying to like keep up, I mean, it just looks so fucking slow. I've never driven on a track, but like everyone who drives on a track says it's so slow. It has like 200 horsepower,
Yeah, because it is slow. Like
and then like
just
in order
driving
to
them, just driving them, you feel that like most like that completely awful reverse VTEC feeling of you start revving it and then it feels slower and then it gets faster.
yeah, because it's
That
naturally
torque dip is
aspirated.
real. No,
It's
because because whatever the fuck is wrong with it, I've heard different things of like the exhaust is bad or the intake is wrong or the tuning sucks because of emissions. But in the middle of the power band, it feels slower because it is. If you look on a dyno, there is a dip right in the middle of the power band.
Yeah, because that's okay. That would still make it better kind of as like a street car than a track car, because you're never really going to get that high in the power band and notice it with any frequency, unless you're like doing hood rat shit, which
Okay, sure, but if you just want a street car, then get a Focus ST.
exactly that. Yeah. But if you want just a track car, you really should. If you want to put money into a track car, you should really buy an S2000 or like um, a Cayman or like an M3 or maybe even like a Mustang,
Yeah,
because
I
those are going
just
to be like kind of out of the box already a little bit competitive and like
it's just the problem with those cars is that they make too many compromises in service of nothing, like the CRZ.
CRZ. The CRZ is not a sports car though. Was it rear wheel drive?
No, but the CRZ makes a bunch of compromises in service of nothing. Like it famously gets
Oh,
worse gas mileage and is slower than a CRX.
and it's a hybrid, right?
Yeah, it gets worse gas mileage in the CRX HF and is slower than a CRX SI.
Now define like what's the worst gas mileage you get in an Insight or a CRZ,
I was averaging like mid 30s in my CRC.
which is still not terrible, but okay.
Yeah, it's rated I think at like 40 highway, and I never saw that.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah, but the HF I think is rated at like 45, and people frequently get like 50 miles highway on them. And then the and then they there was a press event when the Series Z first came out where Honda brought a CRX SI and um, didn't let people do back to back, and they said it was because they wanted to preserve the old car. But it came out when people were doing like phone 0 to 60 testing that they were pretty sure they didn't want people doing back to back because the magazine numbers that they had on file for the SI were like half a second faster than the CRZ.
It got better mileage.
No, the CRZ got better mileage than the SI.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because there were,
that's
that's the thing about the CRZ, because there were three trims of CRX. There was the high fuel efficiency car with like no sound deadening, um, like a 60 horsepower engine, these crazy long gears, the high fuel efficiency model, the HF. And there's my car, which is like kind of in the middle. It only has two fuel injectors, but it's has 16 valves and isn't and like has sound deadening, and it's supposed to be like the blend and the mass market one. And there was the SI, which had port fuel injection and a sunroof, and that one was the fast one. I think it had like thicker sway bars. Doesn't matter anyway. The CRZ explicitly tried to be all three of those at once, and it failed at being all three of those at once because Honda said, "Well, now it's the future, and we have adjustable drive modes."
the year 2000.
Yeah. Except what that meant in practice was you had adjustable drive modes that changed how sensitive your throttle was, which who gives a shit?
That's it's the early days for adjustable drive modes though.
This was the first year of the CRZ was 2011, so not really.
Really, in Hondas though, I feel like that was like a luxury car thing in 2011. Maybe I'm wrong.
Honda, I feel like they had an economy mode for a few years now, which the CRZ had,
Yeah. Okay.
which made the AC worse and dampened throttle response and made steering lighter.
Okay. Yeah. When I thought about drive modes, I thought you meant like race mode, sport mode.
No, no, like it had a sport mode, but all sport mode did was it made the throttle like way too sensitive and made steering a little bit heavier.
I had that Benz, the Mercedes C-Class in '08, and that didn't have any of the shit you see on like modern Hondas. It didn't have like it had a it had a the Tiptronic transmission. I don't know how to, it was like PRND, and then below that it had W and S, and like what? And the salesman was like, "It's just something in German." And I was like, "Fuck it." And there was W, and then there was S, and then S was like sportier, and that's it. Didn't do anything with like driving. But now it's like you get in a car, there's all these
Now you
buttons.
get in a car and you go to turn your blinker and you shift into reverse.
Oh yeah, I've been driving my fucking dad's Mercedes, and it does that. But I will say, getting to drive that like nice ass car, this is what cars were like in the 50s. Is just like Mercedes SUVs. This is like the modern equivalent of like a fucking like Eldorado. It's just like big and soft and like lumbery. And then like there's this creaking noise that's coming from whenever I hit like a bump and the car kind of shifts. That there's this creaking noise. It's like I couldn't figure out what it was until it finally hit me. I was just like, oh, it's all the leather rubbing against the leather. Like everything's leather in this car. This it's like real. Like the doors are all leather. The seats, the fucking like center console, and it's just like the seat rubs up against the center console, and it sounds like fucking medical closets. Or my dad says, "Oh yeah, it makes saddle noises." But all that being said, just like being in there and like using that stereo, and the engine's pretty nice. I mean, it's like it's a mid-sized Mercedes Benz SUV. It's so cushy. It's just not the cushiest thing in the world, but oh my god.
Yeah, I have ridden in Nicole's mom's a couple times, and it is definitely a very nice place to be.
I think
My
hers
only
is like
hang
no. Go ahead. Tell me your hang up.
my only hang up would be that it has that stereo that's like too it's like too new to replace because it's too integrated in the car, but too old to have Bluetooth.
Okay, my dad's has the Bluetooth. I guess is it the one that's like recessed in or it's hooded? Mercedes used to call it hooded. For some reason, that was the best fucking like design concept. Is like have your GPSs recessed into the center console,
I know.
so it minimizes like sun glare.
Yeah,
Now take it out, put a tablet on it, and glue it to the fucking thing. You can't see it when it's sunny ever.
although
Great. We're Mercedes.
Ford used to do that. Ford, my Fiesta had a hooded screen stock, and I thought it was great. I loved it.
I can't find them anywhere, like in new cars.
Yeah,
It's so much better.
everything's fucking glue a tablet to it.
Yeah, even
Who was the first
Lexus
one who did that? Was it Mazda? I feel like Mazda really started it.
glue a tablet to it. Tesla.
I don't know. I feel like the Mazda. I mean, the Model S is. I, you've completely disappeared in the truck.
Woo!
The Model S isn't really glue a tablet to it though. Like it has that enormous center stack, but I feel like that's different than glue a tablet to it.
So here's what I think happened. Tesla came out. Everybody goes gaga for Tesla. Tesla doesn't have a floating tablet. It has an integrated tablet into the
Right.
center console.
Right.
But all the other companies are like, fuck, we gotta have a tablet. And then they said, fuck, we already designed the next car. And then they said, fuck, we're gonna have to like save as much money while doing this, and we're gonna have to put a tablet in the car we already designed. Just glue a tablet to it.
Here on
That's
the here screen share and pull up the 2013 Mazda 3 interior.
2013 Mazda interior coming right up.
Because this sticks out to me as the very first time I saw glue a tablet to it.
Mazda. What do you want?
Three interior Mazda 3 interior.
Mazda 3 interior interior La Manjo brown brick. That's a hooded screen, my dude.
I guess 2015. I guess this is deeper than because yeah, this is definitely hooded screen.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there's
Glue a
glue a
tablet to it.
tablet to it.
I don't know if that's first glue a tablet to it. Wouldn't
Yeah, that's
that
pretty
just like
late.
imagine that without like the tablet? Wouldn't that be much better?
Oh
Like
yeah.
it would be so much better though, is the
Oh
fucking
yeah.
weirdest thing. And like this car company, Mazda, cares just enough to make a good looking interior, but not enough to like maintain the integrity of the design by choosing not to compromise design in the name of a few bucks. Probably not a few bucks, probably a few thousand. I bet a ton of fucking like sheeple took
Although
a look at that and they were like, I can have iTunes on the car. Absolutely.
although I will say I'd much prefer glue a tablet to it than whatever the fuck Honda was doing with the 2012 Civic interior.
I liked the Civic when I was in high school. Let's take a look at the 2012.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I thought that was really well done. The ninth gen Civics uh, have like three screens, and I hate it.
These.
Yes, yes, this
This
is
looks like
exactly what I
a
thought.
this looks like a cab. This looks like a cab from Blade Runner. This
I
is
hate
like
it.
the taxi cab you get in that drives itself and
I hate it.
flies.
I hate it so much. There are three fucking screens.
I want to look at the '08 just to compare because '08 I was a senior.
It's similar but less screens.
Yeah, see this hooded thing that was like recessed, pushed back. The only other car you could find that in at the time was the Prius, and everyone hated the Prius. Like, and
I
I mean,
love these.
oh my god,
I remember a friend of mine had a Civic, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
my friend, the coolest thing in the world.
I loved these cars. I love these cars so
This is the
much.
SI. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought I thought this Civic was so futuristic looking, and it felt like a new car in a way that so many things didn't.
it looks. I remember it was this or the Jetta, or you got some douchebag car, and that was high school. Like nobody was allowed to have the SI because it was too street racery. Nobody had a street racer car in my school, and all the redneck kids either had trucks or like '91 Camaros. But this, I got in. My friend got one of these. No, wait, no, he didn't get one of these. He got one of
It was a coupe.
God. One of his cars got wrecked, and he bought like this something. Oh no, this was it. Never mind.
Oh yeah, these are fucking awful.
No, no, it was. I'm wrong again. It was an Accord. My friend Nathan. I was in his wedding. He had no. It's that's even older
These
than
are
that.
off. These are absolutely awful.
Yeah, this one. This was it. This is the one he had. These
Okay,
were
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
This
these are
was
good.
the '01 Accord. He had an '01 Accord. It was silver and four doors, and it had leather seats. It was exactly like this.
Yeah,
And like his mom gave it to him, and he and I smoked so much weed in it. We would just. He was the only friend I had that was like not afraid to like drive around and like smoke weed in it.
yeah. A friend of mine got this car as a hand-me-down from his dad, and I just remember that he took fucking awful care of it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, this car was so like he was the grossest friend I had before he got married. I would like I crashed at his house in like Missouri once, and I found Taco Bell under the pillow I was sleeping on.
Oh no.
It was awful.
I remember one time I was driving behind him and I was like, "Yo, dude, you've only got one brake light," and he just said, "Eh."
Yeah, that your friend sounds like my friend. This car
Uh,
though, like crashed because of unintended acceleration. Like his mother was driving it down the street and she like put it into drive and then it just like went and like just went up all the way up to like 45 and she couldn't stop. She couldn't hit the brakes and she like rammed it into a car on the side of the street and like crashed it.
shouldn't you pop into neutral?
I don't know. It's been so long since this happened.
No, but I know she didn't pop into neutral because she doesn't know how to drive. Sorry, not sorry.
She might have. It's been like 12 years since I heard the fucking story, and Nathan was in the car with her. So there's a chance that they could have popped in neutral and nothing even fucking happened. I mean, it wasn't like automatic. But anyway, it happened and like it wrecked the car, and then he got his rabbit, and it's like exactly like my fucking car. That rabbit
That's
was treated so poorly, but he was a drummer and he could haul his entire marimba or his entire drum kit to anything he needed to, and
Yeah,
it fit in the back of that fucking hatchback. And fucking Golfs, they're the most brilliant hatchbacks out there. I'm biased
that's a
though.
weird way to say Honda Fit.
Hmm. They don't make the Honda Fit anymore, which is sad. The Honda Fit's a really good car. I thought about getting one instead of the fucking.
No, you made the right choice.
I don't know. The Honda Fit was
The Honda Fit is the best hatchback in terms of,
hatchbacking.
yeah, like the Honda Fit is the car I recommend to people who don't give a shit about cars.
Yeah, it was. What are you gonna recommend now? Can't recommend Golfs. They're too fucking expensive.
The Civic hatchback is too expensive. I mean, a used Civic hatchback.
So many fucking weird ass times in this fucking ass car. Ew, that's awful.
I remember his car was like that weird dark green that my Civic Coupe was, and some lady, he was parked outside our friend's place, and some lady came in to ring the doorbell and was like, "I was backing out my driveway and hit your car. I'm so sorry." And he was so fucking excited because he took that insurance check, went down to Mako, and spray painted it black. And I will never fucking forget how it was just the most bullshit Mako paint job. It looked horrible, and like they didn't paint the jams or like attempt to make it look good.
They
It
just
was
taped
just
the lights up and sprayed away.
hell yeah, dude. And he loved it. He was like, so excited. He was like, my car is black now, not that horrible green. Just don't open the hood or the doors.
Yeah, somebody did that to. We had this like Ford EcoBoost come in to when I worked at that Volkswagen store. It
EcoSport?
was, yeah, Eco. Is it EcoSport? Is God, I don't even
EcoSport.
know.
It's
EcoSport.
EcoSport.
It's never
It is
gonna be
the
EcoSport. It's
it
EcoSport.
is the EcoSport has an EcoBoost transmission, has an EcoBoost engine. I
That
swear to God.
I
I
can no,
swear
I
to
know you're
God.
right because I can see some Ford like cunt just like fucking like it's EcoBoost within
No, 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 no,
EcoBoost.
no, no. The EcoBoost has an EcoBoost engine.
The EcoBoost has an EcoBoost engine. That's what I said.
No, you said the EcoSport has an EcoBoost.
Enough of this dribble. Do you know what I was fucking trained at Audi? It's Audi like it's cloudy. Like you
Okay.
had to I swear to God, I was just like, do you have to teach many fucking people how to say this car brand company's name? Like nobody has these meetings at Ford except for the EcoBoost one. Squazzy. Look, Nathan's Honda Accord was silver. That's not an awful green color. I would kill for a car that color. The like dark hunter green.
Yeah, no, I honestly like it.
I
It's
love
just
that fucking color.
most people don't, so I'm doing that thing where I'm I'm giving the impression that most people have because I don't care that much.
I love. They don't make cars in this fucking color anymore. And we had a Volkswagen like this. They made the Tiguan in this color for 1 year.
That green.
Yeah, I love this green. It's really good on a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Nicole said that she was inventory away from buying the orange Tiguan.
Oh, that was going to say about that EcoBoost Mustang. Somebody had bought a Kona Blue EcoBoost Mustang with a manual transmission. They went to Mako and did exactly what your friend did, but they painted in grabber orange, which is like a Ford Mach 1 like heritage color. But they did the same fucking thing. So when you open the trunk lid, we were like, oh, it's vinyl wrapped. They just didn't really go all the way to the seams. And like my buddy who worked there with me at the time was like an ex draftsman. He like would work like with CAD machines before he sold
Mm-hmm.
cars and stuff. And like he did a little bit, he knew more about vinyl wrapping than I did. At least he gave that impression. It was just like, no, vinyl wrapping it goes all the way up to the seams. This is fucking paint. And all the door jams were Kona blue, and like it's the worst color. It's like the fucking like Denver Broncos. It's like orange and navy blue, and it's like You open the door jamb, all the doors blue, and it's like bright orange on the other side of it. Oh, it was bad. It was an automatic, and it had aftermarket exhaust and it had a tune on it. And it was just like some rich kid. You could just tell this was
Yeah.
some like rich kid who got this car and then like got in trouble or something, and his parents like made him get rid of it. And like, oh my god, it was a complete disaster. We didn't have it for very long.
You sent it to auction?
No, someone bought it. It was like brand new. It was like a 2018. It was only like it only had like 10,000 miles on it. It was like a fine car. We did take it to Ford and have the tune removed, though. I mean, we're not going to repaint anything on that piece of shit. We sold it for like 24 grand,
Unbelievable.
and we took it in for like 21. I mean, Mustangs are. I like Mustangs a lot, but
Sure, I don't know why anyone would buy that Mustang though.
well, because they couldn't have a GT, they couldn't afford
No,
it.
I mean the orange and blue one.
Yeah, I don't. You got me. Like,
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I like.
probably
I
a
totally get.
clone of the previous owner.
I totally get why somebody buys the four cylinder. I think the four cylinder is a great car, and I think the four cylinder would get a lot less flack if they didn't call it a Mustang and like changed nothing else. Like if
They
it was
should
a
call
Link.
it a Maverick.
Yeah, sure. Like if they sold the four, like if they had introduced the four cylinder as like an as like an 80/20 automatic manual Lincoln Executive Coupe in the style
Oh,
of
that's the
the
Cougar.
C300.
That's what the Cougar was. The Mercury
Sure,
Cougar
yeah,
was a luxury Mustang.
yeah. If they had done that, and then like, and then like the Mustang is now V8 only, and then quietly sent people over to the Lincoln dealer for the base model one, they would have sold a fucking bazillion of them.
But they never would have done anything quietly with Lincoln because it's a floundering brand, and I don't know if it can hang on.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing is Ford won't do. Ford and Honda both have the exact same problem of they are completely unwilling to give the main brand something less than the luxury brand.
Oh yeah, because it's a luxury brand. That's just how it's always been. Look at these Mercury Cougars.
Yeah, I don't care about this, but I'm here for it.
I fucking love cars like this. I don't think I'd ever
I,
buy one, but like, man, I just wish I wished I could go buy a moderately priced coupe that wasn't like this like blown out like boomer mobile. I wish I could have a Honda Accord V6 coupe.
Mercury Cougar to me is that 94, and I remember my aunt's husband's mom had one, and just riding in it was just like pure depression.
A personal luxury coupe. I remember this one. This is when like Mercury was like
Yes.
gonna be Saturn now, and nobody bought it, and it sucked.
The neighbor kid had one of these, and I honestly thought it was
Styling's
kind of
okay.
cool.
It looks like
Yeah,
a Mitsubishi Eclipse
yeah, like, but
with
that's
a
if like
cobalt body.
if they had gone all in on it, I think it would have done a lot better. But they just kind of like did one thing and were like, oh, this was an immediate success. Okay, bye.
This is the official car of like someone who still makes porn. I love it. I love this one. I liked the Mercury, this and the Marauder. I always thought were cool cars, but
Oh
like
my
I
god,
was never a Mercury.
these are horrible. They're
This is like
so
somebody.
ugly.
This is somebody who wishes he had a Marauder. That's why he has it painted like this. But it's a
They're
Cougar.
so ugly.
Oh god, the
That
Marauder.
flat rear window, God, it looks like such shit.
Well, it was a different time. This was 1990. This
No,
was 21 years. No, 31
I
years ago.
I remember
Yeah,
riding in one of
31 years
these.
ago. Oh my
I remember
god.
riding in one of these no later than like 2003 and thinking it looked like the worst, biggest pieces of shit.
I always thought these were fucking cool. Just like the
They
Panther body Mercuries.
they are cool, but
They're like
um,
murderers' cars, you know? It's just like this is the stepdad that like beats his kids like car.
no, these were immediately bought by boomers who thought they'd be worth a ton of money.
Yeah, they came with that collectible. Have you seen the jacket?
I've heard
Each
about it,
fucking
never seen it.
Marauder comes with a collectible jacket.
Oh
It's
my
just
god,
it's just a leather jacket with the Mercury logo on it, and it has a Mercury zipper on it. That's all it is. That's it. Like
Incredible.
has a certificate of authenticity. Fucking Hoovy bought one. Of course he did. I haven't watched this guy in a while, but I would say I'm a fan. Um, yeah, here we go. Here we go. Think of it as 300 horsepower black leather jacket. Purchase a new 2003 Mercury Marauder and receive an official.
Oh, the next link up. I remember reading about this in Jalopnik back when Jalopnik was relevant. They bought a Marauder and literally just parked it. They never drove it. They never did anything with it.
Somebody had to. That's what they thought people were going to do. This was like one generation's Hellcat, you know? Except Mercury didn't keep going. How much did they get for it?
I remember that like they made like $5,000, except that's 5,000 inflation unadjusted dollars. So they lost a bunch of money.
Yeah, they had to pay for it, and it was like 30 grand when it was brand new. Like
Yeah,
here's the fucking like window sticker. Let's see if I can get a zoom
yeah,
in
because
on
they
that.
didn't take the fucking delivery plastic off.
33,790 total MSRP 34,495. They made 5 grand.
Is that what they is?
This is the window sticker. Can you
I'm
see it?
working off like 8-year-old memory. In my head they made like they
No,
sold this
that's
for
like
like
your I think your numbers are accurate because like no offense, but Mercury's even the Marauder was like it's rare, but it's also just a Panther body.
yeah. I remember they sold this car. In my memory, they sold this car for like 38. Like they made a little bit of money, but I remember posting in this comment thread, and people be like, "Oh, good for them, they made money," and then be like, "No, dude, you have to adjust for inflation. They lost a shit ton of money on this."
But they registered it. According to this, that they initially thought they had never registered it. They owned it, but they registered it, but they never drove it. So you will be owner number two. I guess you're always gonna be owner number two.
Not if you don't register it.
What?
If you don't register it, you're legally not the first owner. But if you buy it from a dealer, I think you have to register it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Does it say how much they sold it for?
I don't see anything.
Scroll.
I don't see anything. Are you still there? No, you are not still there. Fuck. I'm just like fucking up. damn it.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, so I never found out how much they sold for, but I found a Haggerty website that gives you an idea what the market for these cars are like as of 22 January 2020. I'm sure it hasn't changed that much. I mean, the shitty ones, and keep in mind that since all these cars were bought by boomers, but there's only 12,000 of them out there,
Yeah,
the shitty ones are going for like $17,000.
hilarious.
Yeah, but that's it. Like that's the worst ones out there are still majority of them are in good condition. Concourse condition are going for around 30 grand. Some of them have sold for as much as 34,500.
So they lost a little bit of money in unadjusted dollars.
Maybe I don't know how their personal finances are, but yes, if you're just judging by the purpose, they lost about $5,000.
In unadjusted dollars.
Yeah.
And you have and like let me pull up Wolfram Alpha real quick.
Oh yeah, go
Which
Wolfram.
thank you Wolfram for getting me through calculus class.
Raise Wolfram.
Let's see. What was that MSRP? 38,000.
No, the MSRP of this vehicle was. Let me get back to the picture. I think it was like 34. The total MSRP before taxes is $34,495.
34,439.
49
What
or
is
95. God damn it. 34,495.
what year is that? 2007.
I believe it. No, it is a 2003 Marauder.
All right. Okay, I am looking at the number right now. How much is that in inflation adjusted dollars?
Are you asking me?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
take a guess.
Oh, um, 55,000.
You were not far off. It is $48,590.
That makes sense. We used to be able to buy a luxury car in like 2005 for like 40 grand. You get a C class, like like well equipped for like 40 grand in 2005.
And now you can buy a Honda Civic.
Now you can buy a Honda Civic, you can buy a Honda Civic Type R, or you can have a Mercedes. Choice is yours. The money is also yours, but soon to be mine. $34,495. Yeah, they lost a lot of money. Fucking rednecks.
You love to see it.
Sorta. I mean, this is just like the marketing of this car promised people of a generation who watched every single car that they grew up with become like collectible cars, and people who had just never sold them like are making like, my dad watched his very first car, a 49 Cadillac, go across Mecum, and it sold for like $120,000. And it's just like, geez, he's like, I found that car in a ditch.
I think is I think that is a factor of I think the malaise. I was going to say something else, but I think the malaise era really fucked that up because nobody wants malaise cars.
Malaise cars, when they were, okay, 80s Malaise cars were quite futuristic because that very stoic, hard edge look was like really futuristic at the time. But in the 70s Malaise cars, where it just looked like an economy car had a Bronham roof on them or whatever it's called, or like the fucking like
Yeah,
shag
Landau.
carpet, the Landau top, or the Landau top is the whole one, and the Bronham roof is like just the back like C pillar is in leather, and it was just like, this just is a fucking Chevy Cavalier with fucking bits. It
Right,
sucks. But there's
right.
nothing else to buy except like a really tiny, underpowered, shitty ass like fucking Honda or
Yeah.
what else? I mean, everyone just either bought Ford, Chevy, or sometimes Dodge, and then the oil crisis, and then
Right.
everybody's
I get
buying
that's the
fuel-efficient
point I was
Hondas,
about to
Pintos,
I was about to say
Gremlins.
of the Malaise era fundamentally changed cars. And
Hmm.
so I think muscle cars being worth a lot of money is a function of they were worth nothing for so long, but they because they were just these these hopelessly impractical, undesirable cars for the longest time, but they never stopped being cool. They never stopped being good cars. They just became way too expensive to own and drive.
Oh yeah,
And
as like daily drivers, which is like this concept of like daily drivers. People had one fucking car,
right,
like
right,
nobody had like, oh, I have a daily, and then I have like a 1992 Miata that I just like do nothing in, and it smells like piss. And like that's a product of like the Malaise era too, because everything got so cheap. Like the reason a 92 Miata is the same price as a new computer from Dell is because it's all just made out of like Japanese electronics from the 90s and plastic.
yeah,
So, you know, at the same time, thank you. Because now I can go on Craigslist and buy a Miata for the same price as a new Dell computer.
right.
So
I mean, not anymore. Miatas are very expensive now, but
yeah, fucking Jalopnik did that. But the Marauder, back to the Marauder, this was like pandering to the boomer generation, saying like this is a new collectible that you can buy from the dealership, and it has a dealer
yeah,
warranty, free jacket.
because
It'll
remember the
keep you
context.
warm.
The
Yeah.
context of this is,
Remember the 60s?
yeah, the context is they have shown the new Mustang redesign. It's not out yet, but they have shown concepts of it. Like it is going for this future retro thing. The PT Cruiser is out, right?
Thunderbird, the PT Cruiser are out, and the Charger is out.
No, no. In 2003,
It's about to come out. The Charger, the first Charger wasn't that fucking like retro.
I think, yeah, no, the first Charger was like 2005, 2006, right?
Maybe. Let's see. Let's find out. Wikipedia. I'm looking at right now. 2006. 2006 was the. It was discontinued in '87 and brought back in 2006.
The Challenger was like 2008 or
No, the
9, right?
Challenger is like the coupe. The Charger is the big
Yeah,
sedan
I
that
know,
was.
I remember.
Yeah, I get them confused. I
The
have to remember
Challenger is
this.
like 2008 or 2009, right?
When I saw a Charger for the first time in '06, I told my dad that was the car I wanted for sure. And he just looked at me and said, no, absolutely not. I will not buy a teenager that car. And he was like, that's a sedan that's bigger than my E Class. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. And he's like, nobody needs you. You should like have a sportier car. And looking back on it, I was just like, did I not get that car because it's like an urban car? You know,
I don't know that it had that stigma at the time. I think it's just your dad correctly sussed out that it was a Chrysler product and therefore a piece of shit.
I think that's also true. Although he was a big Chrysler guy, he really he had this Jeep. We talked about the Jeep. He loved his fucking Jeep. But
Jeep is a different thing.
the Jeep that was out at 2006, the Grand Cherokee that was out in 2006, oof, awful car. Probably the worst Grand Cherokee ever. This the third gen. It's the one with the circle lights.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Why don't you bring it up on screen?
All right, let's do it. Anyway, um, fun
So
thing
yeah,
about
that
that like urban stigma. I just want to talk about this real quick. That urban stigma to Chrysler isn't a stigma. They like embrace it. There's this great series on Netflix called oh god, it's like create something. It's like an anthology show that interviews like famous creators, but they're like hipsters. But the fucking one of them they interview the lead designer at Chrysler, and he's a car designer. It just talks about him making cars. He races Vipers on the weekend,
hell
and
yeah.
he said we when we designed the Chrysler 300, we had the African American community in mind from day one. and we wanted to make something that they would embrace. And I was like, oh, they did that on purpose. They like absolutely were like, we designed a car for black people. Like, and we love that because we're the car company that like just like, hey, this is what black people would love to drive, so we're gonna make that, and like that's the car we make. They didn't like put some fucking like politically correct like sheen on it or anything. They were just like, here you go,
Yeah.
and it worked. I thought the first Chrysler 300 looked really cool. The one that looked like kind of like steampunky.
Yeah.
The new one looks like ass. The new one looks like a fucking Italian limousine. All right,
I honestly forget they sell it so often.
it's the only car they sell. You can buy a Pacifica or you
Or
can buy a
300.
300, and that's it. That's Chrysler.
Yep. I forget so often that they sell the 300. I never see any of them.
Yeah, they're fleet cars now. They sell to like airport limousine companies. Like they are the current town car. They are this gen. They are right now. They are the closest thing to a Lincoln town car.
I don't know, man. The town car, nothing will ever be the town car again. They're just ubiquitousness for limousines, for taxis, for cop cars, everything. Nothing will ever be that way again.
Well, that's the Marauder. This is the Panther body. Yeah, I mean, I don't really miss it that much though. I mean, the
No.
town car was great, but only because of that air suspension. The rest of it was like actually a pretty shitty car.
I will tell you, my grandma had one. Both my grandmas had them. My mother's mother had a 92, and my father's mother had like a 2002. And both of those cars fucking ruled. I loved both of them. Growing up in town cars was an awesome experience.
Yeah, my dad hated them so much. He hated just like American cars, and like we were growing up, I was like, I'll never buy anything American. He bought that Jeep because he thought he didn't have a choice. And he loved it. He had an Infinity. Did we talk about his Q45 ever?
Maybe. What does the 2003 Cherokee look like inside?
I'm finally bringing it up.
Tell me about the Q45.
Q45. We talked.
Jackson,
Uh,
Jackson, come here.
Infinity had just launched, and my dad said that
Oh,
things would
these,
break on
yeah.
that car all the time, and they would just replace it. And that's all I remember about the Q45. He would like, you go in and be like, the radio doesn't work, and they're like, okay, here's a loaner with unlimited miles, and we'll call you when your new radio's installed. And that was Infinity in the '90s.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so this is what my parents wanted me to get as my first car, and I test drove it, and I was like, I have no thoughts about this, but this could have been my first fucking car. I
What
was
a
like, that's
disaster
a
that would have been.
vehicle. Yeah. And then they went home and they were like, your father and I
Jax.
read the reviews and we have decided not to get you the Jeep. And we'll think about getting you a car when you're a little bit more interested. And then I ended up with that C Class. But yeah, these were the worst fucking Jeeps. Oh my God. Look at that interior.
That looks truly horrific.
Chrysler interiors on like their normal cars of this era were awful. Kind of like I don't know what Dodge made before the Challenger. The Intrepid. Do you remember the Intrepid?
Yeah, they had the cloud cars.
Yeah, Chrysler and Dodge. Like the Intrepid was like
The Stratus.
the Stratus. That was it. The Stratus was the big boy car because that's what Blake's dad had.
Yeah, it was the cloud car.
Oh God,
It would not have been around in 2006. Um,
that's not a Stratus.
what's a Stratus? That's the last gen Stratus. The
It's
one
gotta
you're
be.
thinking
It's
of is
gotta be a
like
newer one. Or
the one. Yeah, the one you're thinking of is like search like 98 Stratus.
oh my God, is that this one?
Yeah, that's what you're thinking of. Horrible, miserable, shitty cars. Looking at these pictures now, I realize it has been years since I've seen one of these.
They all got bought up by Cash for Clunkers.
That I'm
I
sure
mean,
they all fell apart or like rusted here in Texas.
yeah, it's fucking crazy how bad these cars were. Dodge was like such a piece of shit company back in this era. And they still kind of are, but they have improved from this. I mean, like I think they have improved from
Yeah,
this.
I like the Dart for as shitty as the Dart is, it is still largely competent.
The I drove 200, the new 200. It was like the 2015 or
Those are not
2014 200.
those are not great.
Those were bad, but they are essentially Dodge. What you just said.
No, the
It's
Dart the
obviously not
Dart
gonna work.
replaced
There it
the
is.
Dart replaced the 200.
No, this can't be. It's gonna be the
These
2015 then. This one. This is the one.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
It came out because it was like the Ford Fusion is selling like crazy. We have to invent our own one. And then as soon as this came out, the sedan apocalypse occurred, and everybody just bought a crossover.
Yes. Okay. I forgot these existed. I was thinking of the last one. My sister had the last one you were looking at.
Yeah, that was a like it had this kind of like okay engine. It was bigger than everything else, but it
Go
was like a
back.
piece of dog shit. Yeah, it was you
Yes,
could
it
get this
was.
with a V6, and it was on the market for so fucking long,
Yeah,
or
it
so
was.
little actually. It came out in like 2010. It was gone in 2014.
No, well, yes, you're right. My grandma bought a 2012 of these new, and then my sister bought it as her second car, upgrading from my grandma's hand-me-down Saturn, which I think was honestly a better car.
This was like when Chrysler was like transitioning into that like you remember the Detroit commercial?
Right.
Yeah, the Super
What
Bowl
what
commercial with Eminem.
what was the Dodge equivalent of this?
This was the Avenger.
Oh, this is an Avenger.
Yeah. I really
That's why they're so shitty.
yeah. This was my brother's friend Paul's tornado chasing car. And I
That's
said when
awesome.
I met Paul, I was like, Paul, you seem like a pretty good guy, and you seem pretty smart because you figured out exactly what car should be hurled at a vortex.
You know, I remember thinking what a miserable piece of shit my sister's car was, and now that I realize it's an Avenger, it all makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the Avenger really tried. Like Dodge was like, we're gonna make a like sedan that's like styled like the people want that to be styled, and
Right. They started with the premise of we have absolutely no money to make this car, and we
yes,
have
that's
no
also
money,
true.
and we have no budget to sell this car. It has to be like dirt cheap. Like we have no money to make a good cheap car. We have to very cheaply make a cheap car.
Yeah, and they did,
And
and I mean
and they did it.
they did it. They like the problem is the Volkswagen Jetta is a much better cheap car, and so is like
Yeah.
the Mazda 3 sedan. The Jetta is the best cheap car you can buy. I still like maintain that.
Right. And like, they had the advantage of swinging against the 2014 Civic, the worst Civic ever, well, one of the worst Civics ever made. And but the thing is the Civic is still a much better cheap car.
Yeah, I don't know if I compare this to a Civic. I guess I would. It's in the same price point, right?
I have to
Oh,
assume the
God damn it!
Avenger would be cheaper, and like if you were comparing dollar for dollar, you'd be comparing an Avenger and a Fit. And
These fucking things.
that's why people bought Avengers, because
Yeah, they are really
you
the
got
same car.
more you got more money for, except my grandma always buys base models, so like it didn't have a screen or that shit, and it might as well have been an Avenger.
There were good Dodges though at this time. Do you remember the Dodge Nitro?
The Nitro is a miserable piece of shit. What are you talking
The
about?
Nitro is a miserable piece of shit except for one factor. You can get it with the all-wheel drive system from the Jeep Liberty, which admittedly is not a very good car. However, it is a body-on-frame Jeep with all-wheel drive, and you can get it with the all-wheel drive, but it is very cheap.
The Jeep Liberty is what people like my cousin drive.
Yes,
My cousin
people who
Kayla, you
want a
never met.
Wrangler and he can't
Yeah,
afford anything else. Is that it? I don't mean
yeah.
your
That
cousin.
is my cousin Kayla. She wanted a Wrangler, and she was talked out of it or couldn't afford it, and so she got a Liberty. And I rode in it once, and I was like, "Yeah, this
It's
is
a
the
miserable.
car."
It's like a piece of shit on the inside. It is a tomb. It is like the inside of a toy box.
I was really worried that she was going to listen to this, and then I remember that nobody listens to this, so we're fine.
Yeah. Does she still have it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but yeah, she's the nicest, most lovely woman. She and her husband are the most amazing people. But oh my god, that is the
I
worst
just
car.
fucking exited that window. God damn it. I can't find you, Brandon. Where are you?
Ah, where'd I go?
Reveal yourself.
If only your screen wasn't in 4K and you didn't have your screen setting set to like 3%.
That's set to 3%.
It's set to like what, 100%?
It is set to 100%.
God, I
I
can't
want
even.
all of it, Brandon. whatever it may be.
I paid for 4Ks. I want all of those Ks.
I want all my Ks, please. It actually, I wish there was like a toggle for it because like I play the game and then it's like great, but then I like want to use
You
it as a
can
monitor.
set no, you can set the scale of resolution like 150, and the game will display in proper 4K.
Yeah, I put it in 100. Oh, but then it increases this. Oh, I have an idea. Just unplug the fucking monitor. Because really, I don't need two monitors right now.
Wow.
Turn them off.
Windows 10 has per desktop scaling, which I loved because I would run different scaling for my 4K monitors and my other monitors.
Yeah, that is
Except,
something that you can only get, or you can't get on Mac.
I think they introduced it as of like Catalina or Mojave. It was extremely recently, but yeah.
Okay. Well, you know,
How's
I
Big
don't know
Sur?
what's.
I wouldn't know.
Is this
Speaking of our
frozen?
car podcast,
Big Sur is kind of fucking okay. It's just not different, is the thing. That's like the only fucking thing about it is like I've used Mac OS before. This is okay in terms of visuals, and it improves a couple of things. But just using that fucking MacBook Pro, like the keyboard is just so bad. I mean, it's just not even funny how bad it is. It's like hard to type with. I keep fucking accidentally turning on Apple Music.
dude, sell it, get whatever you can for it.
I don't want to sell it because I use it to like browse the internet. I should sell it and just buy like an iPad because like at this point it's been downgraded to. Is Nicole home?
Nicole's home.
You know where we should talk about these computers, but also maybe end the podcast.
Okay.
All right,
Dog said it's time to end the podcast, so James, I'll let you.
gamers, rise up. We can keep hanging out if you want. We don't have to fucking. We should like admit we're done talking about cars.